Hi, good morning, everyone who's joining us today. Thanks very much for joining us, and particularly in this seminar, chatting to some South African students who've studied in Ireland and have made their career out of it. Today we have joining us, we have Ishmael Muti. Ishmael will tell us in a minute a little bit more about what he's done in Ireland. He's still based in Dublin. He's working in Dublin now. And he'll tell us a little bit more about that. And we also have Megan Moran. Megan just managed to join us in the last couple of minutes, who's studied in Ireland and is now back working in South Africa. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her experience in the journey of coming back to South Africa with a South African degree. So what I'll do is I'll now ask first Ishmael to just give us a short introduction. Ishmael, maybe you can tell us about when you went to Ireland, what you did there, and what you're doing now.
Thanks, Ron. As Ronella said, my name is Ishmael Muti, and I'm from South Africa as well. I was in Limpopo, Bochum, and I came in September 2019 to study for my master's at the University of Limerick. And then currently I'm based in Dublin, working this side, although it's working from home. So,
thanks very much. Ishmael, are you working in the field that you studied?
Yes, actually, I was fortunate enough to get a job in project management, which is the master's that I did. So kind of putting the skills and the knowledge that I learned from the university into the workplace now.
Perfect. Megan, can you tell us a little bit more about your journey as well and what you studied and where you are now? Your sound is off.
Sorry. Hi. So sorry that I was delayed. I was just having some technical difficulties, as is usual. So I went to University College Dublin. I was in the same year as Ishmael and actually went on the same flight to Dublin, which was cool. And yeah, so I was doing my master's in public health at UCD. And I actually was visiting family in March of last year, and then lockdowns happened. So I actually finished my degree remotely in Johannesburg.
Wow.
And I'm now based in Cape Town, where I'm also working. Yeah, I'm working in public health in studies, clinical studies, through the University of Cape Town.
So also directly linked to what you studied?
Yeah, directly linked. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Ishmael, what made you choose Ireland as a place to go and do your degree or your postgrad?
Well, I guess for me, when I started, I was just looking, to get a master's overseas. So I started looking to get a scholarship that was wanting to come study in Ireland. So then I started checking out Ireland, and one of the things I guess that attracted me, one was the beauty of Ireland. Like everyone was raving about it, and also the location where it was. It's easy to travel the world from Ireland. It's easy to travel Europe from Ireland than it is from South Africa. So I guess it, and how there was so many international people from what I could see from the research that I was doing in Ireland. So those were some of the things that made me think Ireland would be a great country to go study at, and it's an English-speaking country, so language barriers. That's my two reasons why I decided to come to Ireland.
Excellent. And Megan?
Yeah, so actually very similar. I was looking at scholarships. I was keen to do postgrad somewhere abroad. Well, I was just looking. I had been working after my honors, so just through that started looking, and then basically, yeah, I had been to Ireland before, and I'd really enjoyed it. And I had some family there. And like Ishmael said, it was cool that it was English speaking. I think it would have been quite an adjustment if it wasn't. But yeah, I really had enjoyed it there before, and so then when Kara Asmal got back to me, I was really excited. And so yeah, it was through the scholarship also that I ended up there.
Okay.
Dublin, yeah.
study. One thing I forgot to mention just to the students who've joined us today is that if you've got any questions for either of our panelists, if you look to the right of your screen, there's a discussion button, and you're very welcome to send through some questions which we'll answer as we go through the next few minutes of chatting to them. So please, don't hold back giving us your questions. So Ishmael, a little bit about your experience in Ireland. Did you enjoy studying there? Did you have a good experience at the university? And the fact that you've stayed on working in Dublin is probably a good indication that you've enjoyed living in Ireland.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I knew when I first came to Ireland that I was not planning to go home anytime soon yet. There was just so much that I still wanted to explore. So my time in Ireland has definitely been great. Like the campus is just so beautiful. The things that I enjoyed the most is that now I've made connections all over the world. Like my class was just so international. There was people from all over the world, and you get to make those friendships, those connections, and hopefully when when the restrictions open up, we can start visiting each other in these countries. So my time in Ireland has been great. There's been a few culture shocks that I like and things that I didn't like, but you kind of get used to in Ireland. And people are very friendly. Like Irish people are so friendly. Even though I've been here for almost 2 years now. And even though I remain
even more than South Africans.
Even more than South Africans, surprisingly. So they are really kind people, and obviously it's different from South Africa, but you kind of get used to it. You enjoy that journey of learning people's culture and how they do things, and you also learn to appreciate your country more for those things that are not the same. So my time has been great.
And Megan, how about you? How was your experience in Ireland? Obviously, you're back home now.
Yeah, so mine was slightly different in the sense that I was always, I think, intending on coming back, just because I felt like it was going to get skills and then sort of coming back. I think possibly if the pandemic had turned out differently, I might have been there, say, for like another year or another 2. But I think I definitely was keen to come back to bring the skills back. But yeah, it like Ishmael says, incredibly friendly, so friendly, so wonderful, so helpful. I had such heavy bags coming out of the airport. And they just helped me on the bus. Like it was really, really, really wonderful. And then traveling around Ireland as well is beautiful. And yeah, I think like he also said, it was a really, really great location to travel Europe. Obviously, I don't know what that means with COVID now. But yeah, I think it was really cool. And also it's incredibly diverse, especially Dublin. I don't know exactly about Limerick, but diverse in terms of many, many different countries. My entire class was predominantly international students. So also, like Ishmael was saying, contacts, some Irish students and many, many other countries. So I think that they really do that incredibly well in Ireland, is welcoming outside people.
Yeah.
And were the international offices at the university helpful when the pandemic struck? The whole world was in disarray. Did you have good guidance in terms of what you could and couldn't do, and how to continue your studies? Because I think that support during the pandemic is probably indicative of how they would treat you during your stay in Ireland. Ishmael?
Are you asking me? Oh, Ishmael. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, Megan, you go first. Thanks.
Oh.
No, okay. So yeah, actually, I was really impressed with my international office. Anyway, I think I was quite impressed with them before any COVID hit. Like they were really accessible, really easy, really helpful for international students, because as you can imagine, it's quite a culture shock regardless. And then yeah, there was regular feedback. Obviously, I was in a slightly different boat just because I was already trapped back in SA. But basically then, there was lots of communication about finishing remotely. They locked down the university. They locked down the university for quite a while. it did seem like it was really supportive of the students, which I thought was good.
Wow. And Ishmael, how was your experience? You obviously stayed in Limerick during the pandemic. Oh no, you came home for a while and then went back.
Yeah, but when the pandemic hit, actually, I had just came back from South Africa for the 2019 festive holidays, and then I was only there for a month, and then the pandemic hit. But what I international division was they were helpful. I think before the lockdown happened, they were advising if you want to go home, it's best to travel now because it seems like Ireland is going to go on a lockdown in the next week or two. So a lot of people that I was staying with at a campus accommodation decided to take that opportunity and travel home before the lockdown. So there was that constant information in terms of what are the development and what is happening in Ireland as the lockdown is about to hit. And even during the pandemic, like it was accommodation was empty, people went home, Irish people went home, other people went back to their home countries. But what I appreciated was once in a while, I think it was once every 3 weeks or once a month, we'd get calls from the international division department, or a survey, something like that, like where are you, who are you staying with, are you alone, do you have a support, do you need to talk to anyone? And they will even call you just to check up on you. So that is one of the things that I appreciated, and because university and someone was there for you as an international student, So it was. I think they did well, even though like at the end of the day we're isolated, but they did well.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think it was such an abnormal event. No one knew how to deal with it, but it sounds like it was very good. And then Ishmael, in terms of you, obviously you found a job in Ireland after you graduated. Did the university assist you in that process? Was it through some of their careers offices that they assisted you in finding a job in Ireland?
Well, like I said, when I came to Ireland, I had a mission to just stay and gain some Europe. So I started applying for jobs like the first month that I landed in Ireland, but I realized that it was a bit tough to get experience after my bachelor's degree for about 2 years or 3 years. But no, the university didn't really help in that. But what they do is they arrange career fairs, which is what it's called. They arrange career fairs with different employers to come on campus and advertise their graduate programs, their job opportunities, and all of that. So I attended some of those. I applied for some of those. There was a bit of rejections there and there. One of them managed to come through for me. So even though the university doesn't really do placements, because I think that's what a lot of people ask, does the university do placements for you? They don't, but they do help you by providing, career fairs and drafting your CVs, interview workshops, and all of that. So I think that's how they help you in terms of lending a job.
Okay, great. And Megan, for you coming back to South Africa with your degree or your master's from the Irish University, do you feel that in your interviews and the jobs that you applied for, that gave you an advantage over maybe students who'd studied here or elsewhere? Was it well considered?
I think so. I'd say absolutely, yeah. It was always a talking point that I was asked about, because I think it was quite novel, or like it's unusual in that sense. But I also think going abroad demonstrates, adaptability. It's just broad experience, and getting through that, and especially in the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. And I think they are excellent degrees through Ireland as well, and I think that's recognized in South Africa because there's quite a close link with Ireland and South Africa. So yeah, I definitely would say it was an advantage, and it was a huge talking point for me to demonstrate various skills, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I guess the fact that Ishmael, that you were an international student applying, did you avail of the work visa scheme that you are eligible for? I'm assuming you're on a South African passport.
Yes, yeah. So I'm on a South African passport. So the third level scheme, once you graduate in Ireland, then you're eligible to apply for they call it a stamp 1G visa, which allows you to work in Ireland for up to 2 years. So that's what I'm on right now. You have to renew it every year. Yeah. So that allows you apply for it once you get your qualification, your postgrad qualification.
And once you're done with the 2 years, can your employer then apply to extend that if you wanted to stay on an island?
Yeah, then you have to apply for a different visa, but you just have to show that you have a job, Okay. So the 2-year visa is to help you. One, they grant it even if you don't have a job, they do grant it to you as long as you can show that you are actively applying and looking for jobs in Ireland. Then you can remain in Ireland. And then after the 2 years, yes, your employer, if you still have a job by then, your employer can support you to apply for another visa.
Okay, brilliant. So it's a good way as well for someone who's looking at a longer term career, maybe in Ireland, to stay on and be able to open that door to an international opportunity, even for a few years or however long you decide to stay. So we've had a lot of questions in the discussion box on the scholarship process, and even though this seminar is not meant to dwell on that, I wondered if each of you could just give us just because of the overwhelming amount of questions around that, just talk through us very briefly what that process was, how long it took from you applying to being able to study, and just very briefly talking about that process of the scholarship, because we've just had so many questions about it. Ishmael, you go first, maybe.
So yeah, that's fine. So I think
sure.
Scholarship requires patience. Like, you have to be patient. It takes quite a while. It takes probably 6 to 8 months for you to get the scholarship confirmed. So first you would apply, and then you'll go through the first stage where they basically just review your qualifications and why you want to do the scholarship, just briefly. And then once you pass stage 1, you go to stage. You're going to have an interview the embassy of Ireland once they shortlist you from stage 2, and then after that you hear from them, and you have to do if you do pass the interview, you have to do international English language testing system IELTS exams, and then after that you submit it to the embassy. So it takes quite a long time. To university of your choice, and then you get accepted into the university first. So your scholarship depends on you getting accepted by your university. That is a very important thing. You have to meet the requirements for whatever course. Then and then you will get confirmation scholarship, and then you at the end of August to start your qualification in September. Briefly.
Okay, and that links into one of the other questions that came up, was regarding the South African, moving from a South African qualification into the Irish qualification. How did you find that transition? Was the standard fairly similar? Were you able to transition well from your South African education system into the Irish education system?
Well, for me personally, I think it was a bit different, but luckily, I had done in my course. So when I got here, the masters also required research and a lot of academic writing. So some from the University of Johannesburg came in a bit handy, So it was a bit the same, yes. But the structure of assessment, the level of difficulty and what they require was a bit difficult and a bit different from what it would be in the South African standard.
But obviously you managed well, because you
I managed well. Yes, I managed well.
That's excellent. And Megan, how about you? Did you have a similar sort of a journey through the Kara Asmal process?
Yeah, so I actually, like I said, had just decided that I was going to be applying scholarships. So I applied to several. And I'm not going to lie, it's not a chilled process. Like Ishmael says, there's a lot of writing to do. There's a lot of hoops to jump through. Academically, there needs to be a really good transcript. And then an interview, with a panel of experts in the field that you've said that you want to study. So yeah, I would say it took about a year. I started applying the September 2019, and then we found out for certain about Kara Asmal in July of 2020, and then left in August. Yeah, so I think it was quite tough, actually.
It's worth
Yeah.
looking at options and getting your ducks in a row.
Exactly, big time. And luckily I had sort of flexible work because I wasn't entirely sure yet up until July. So that's something to consider. And then in terms of the degree passing over, I felt like, so I went to Wits in Johannesburg for my undergrad and my postgrad honors, and I found like the especially maybe it was in the health field, it was really competitive compared to the degree in Ireland. I didn't feel like I was lacking any sort of, didn't feel like I needed to catch up, and I didn't need to catch up any credits or courses or anything like that.
Brilliant.
So that was cool. I think it is quite a similar system. It's slightly different in the sense that mine was a taught master's, and so it was incredibly content intensive, and then a research component after that. Whereas, and the master's was a year program as opposed to, I think South African masters are 18 months or 2 years. So it's intense. It's really, really intense to squeeze it all into 12 months, I think. But then you're done as well. So there's benefits.
That's brilliant. There was actually a question about exactly that, asking if it was course-based or research-based, but it sounds like it was a combination of them both,
yeah,
and all squeezed into 1 year, which I guess when you're doing an international degree, it's probably advantageous to have it all in. You didn't exactly anticipate having a pandemic in the middle of it, right?
Nope.
That was never
we were glad. I think we were glad that it was going to be over in some ways, like in the pandemic.
Exactly. So for all of the students who've joined us who are considering or thinking about the option of studying in Ireland, have you got any advice or any words of sort of wisdom to share with them, just in terms of whether this is something they should pursue, and any tips on what they should possibly be thinking about? Ishmael, do you want to go first?
I'll go first. Okay. I would say to come to Ireland, I would say come. It's an amazing, whether you stay, it's an exciting opportunity that no one will ever take away from you, and you'll have an amazing experience. Yes, there'll be a few hoops to jump through. There'll be some shocks. There'll be some things that you're not gonna like, but that's part of the journey. But overall, like we said, Ireland it's a beautiful country. There's so much to see across the country. Like there's so much tourist attractions and all of that. And like Megan said, it's very diverse as well. You meet people from across all over the world. You learn things about people's cultures that you never even thought you knew. And what's fun is also you realize that you are representing South Africa. So you realize, oh boy, I actually don't know this about my own home country. Or whatever I say here now might be taken as if this is how all South Africans are. But it is a great experience. But if you are coming, just be prepared for the weather. The weather is terrible. It's it's very cold. It's very, especially during winter, it's very cold. But also, what is also amazing is during the summer, you have such long days. Like the sun sets around 10 or 11 p.m., which is just amazing for me. You knock off at work at 4 and you still have literally an. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I would say come, and getting a qualification from abroad, it opens doors for you. You can go back home. It will definitely put you up on the scale, or you can go work in any other European country because of your experience in one of the European countries. So I think it will be a great opportunity to explore. Perfect.
And Megan?
Yeah, so yeah, I think it is a really good thing to pursue. Like Ishmael said, just to broaden horizons. I think it's even, no matter how hard it is, you will always gain incredible experience, perspective from doing something like studying, overseas. And I think actually for me personally, it was also really good for it to be a master's. I think having done some undergrad, some honors postgrad, as is the South African system, like I think that it was better for me to go slightly older, like having had some work experience. But that's just for me personally, because you know, sort of having a little bit more experience then enables more experience, if that makes sense. So I really liked that it was a master's program. So that was just, you know, someone I saw had asked, was it better to apply after matric or was an undergrad? We weren't, I don't think, necessarily looking at undergrad scholarships and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly what's out there after matric, but I think for me personally, I found it really beneficial that I already had studied before. I think it would have been quite a shock to both move and start studying for the first time, but that's just my journey.
Makes you receptive as well to how great the opportunity is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. Well, I think we've come to the end of our session, and all I can do is thank you both very much. It's clear that it's been really interesting to all of the students to hear about your experience, and certainly good luck, Ishmael. I'm happy to see you still wearing that South African flag on your chest, and I'm sure you could use a nice braai and watching a bit of rugby right now, but you know,
Definitely.
hopefully you'll be watching the Lions tour coming to South Africa in a couple of months, and be supporting the South African team, supporting the box still despite being on the other side. And Megan, happy that you're back in Cape Town, and good luck with your career and building it out from there. For the students joining the session, the seminar following this will be specifically speaking to agents who assist in South Africa for students who are interested in studying abroad, and particularly in some of the Irish universities. They're based in South Africa, and they're very familiar with the criteria to be accepted into any of the universities, and can guide you through that process. And they'll be telling you a little bit more about that process. So please join us. And then, as you know, we have 14 universities online today. So you through on the main page, you go to in the lobby, you look at the course grid, you can select what courses you want to, you're interested in, and it tells you exactly which universities are offering that. And they've all got representatives online today to chat to you and to tell you more about the courses or more about the entry requirements. So really everyone is here to help you and give you as much guidance as possible. So please stay with us and explore this opportunity. Everybody's very keen to receive the South African students and to see how we can make this experience a bit easier for you. So thank you to you both very much again, and we look forward to staying in touch, and we look forward to answering as many questions as we can for the other students online today. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.